Good afternoon everyone and welcome to weekly current affairs for environment, science and technology and geography. We would be taking one concept from geography as well today. If you can hear the sound properly and if the video is clear, just let me know in the chat section. Just type a thumbs up or a hi or good afternoon, whatever suits you, and so that we can proceed further. Alright, so let's move on. Let's begin this session. This session would focus on weekly current affairs for the week of December 7 to December 14. The first topic that we need to take is from science and technology part of your syllabus. We would be focusing on end-to-end encryption. The second topic is black soils. The first mapping for black soils or how they are changing, how their carbon content is going down, organic content is going down. That has been mapped. Then thirdly, we'll talk about a mains topic, that is groundwater depletion. Related to groundwater depletion, the question for today for Seize the Mains has been crafted. The question for day 140, which is uploaded on our website rajayesacademy.com, you can go to our website and answer this question, is examine the problem of groundwater pollution and depletion in India. Suggest some effective measures in this regard. Answer in 250 words. So that's a very simple question. We would be covering the issues with regards to groundwater depletion in the country and the measures in this regard. So yes, let's begin with end-to-end encryption. Recently, Apple has announced that end-to-end encryption would be activated for all its processes. See, if you are aware, you must know that if you're using WhatsApp or any other applications like WhatsApp already use end-to-end encryption. So what we need to understand is that what is end-to-end encryption and why are tech companies focusing on it. So what you can do is have a rough copy in your hand, scribble side by side. Understanding the concept of end-to-end encryption is very important from privacy point of view also, because as internet, as softwares, as your mobile phone applications, they are gaining popularity. On the other hand, privacy is something that has been compromised. So right to privacy is part of our fundamental rights also. It is covered under Article 19 and Article 21 both. So privacy is something that we need to focus upon as we move towards advancement of technology, especially when it comes to cyberspace. So privacy, data protection, all of these have been hot topics whenever it comes to polity. In science and tech, let's talk about end-to-end encryption, which actually focuses on your data privacy, on the privacy of how you talk to your friends, relatives, and how is that data protected. So encryption basically means encoding. If you're talking about encryption is basically that we use as a term for coding. For example, if your name is Neha, or there is a girl whose name is Neha, and this message has to be written on a paper. The name Neha has to be written on a paper by a person B and given to by a person A, and it has to be given to person B. So there are chances that anybody who gets to read this paper, gets this paper in his hand, will be able to read out the name. So what you want is, you do not want anybody except this person B to be able to read this name on the paper, or whatever information you have supplied it through paper to the person B. So you do not want that to be happening. Then what will you do? Probably you will not write Neha, you will find a code, you will move every alphabet by one number. So let's say Neha would be written as one number ahead from O, one letter ahead from O. N is O, E has F beyond it, H has I, and A has B. So probably you will write it as this, OFIB. OFIB would mean Neha. If you have been appearing for any competitive exams, these are some of the reasoning questions that you will see. And what is the key here? Key means that how have you coded Neha into OFIB? By using +1. So what you do is, you basically send a paper containing OFIB to this person B, and you tell that +1 is my key. This is the key that we call it. So now B understands that A has coded the message Neha or the name Neha using a key called +1, and that means the B will have to decode this message and go back to Neha by doing it by subtracting every letter by -1, by moving every letter back by -1. So basically this process, moving a Neha to OFIB or writing Neha as OFIB, that is your encryption, and the process in which B gets the message OFIB and converts it into Neha itself is known as decryption. So that is basically, these are technical terms used for coding and decoding your messages. Now when you send your messages over WhatsApp, what happens is, let's see. So probably you are user A here, whatever message has been sent by you, that gets encrypted or that gets encoded, and then it reaches the server which is communicating between this user A, that is you, and this user B, that is person receiving the message. And both of you have some keys. Keys means actually the codes with the help of which you can encode the message and with the help of which you can also decode the message. So basically when you are operating WhatsApp or any other application that is giving you end-to-end encryption, end-to-end means there are two ends or two people involved. User A is end 1 and just excuse me. Yes, user A here is end 1 and user B here is end 2. So end-to-end encryption, that means a message that has been sent by user A. For example, you are typing a message good morning or good afternoon. Let's say you are typing good afternoon. So you type good afternoon here and you wanted to send it to B. Now the message in your phone, since your phone has been provided with a public key that is given by WhatsApp itself, the servers of WhatsApp itself, and that public key is given only to you and to the person B. So that message gets encrypted or encoded, and in some format, this good afternoon through the servers it reaches here. So this message in the coded format reaches to person B. The phone or the mobile phone of person B also has a key which is called public key. So the person, this person also has that key. Using the public key, using your public key, because B is communicating with you, using your public key, this person B is able to decrypt the message. Now traveling from person A to person B, this key, this public key for decoding the information or for decoding your message, this was not shared, this public key was not available to anybody apart from A and B. So hence no one in the middle, not even your servers, not even service providers, neither your government nor WhatsApp, none in between can actually have access to your messages. So your messages are end-to-end encrypted. So they are coded from end to end. That means whatever message you are sending can be read only by the person you are sending it to. In the middle, no third party can tamper with your messages, nobody can change your messages and nobody can read your messages. And the same goes for phone calls also, for video calls also, whatever you are however you are communicating through WhatsApp. So end-to-end encryption is happening. Now Apple has announced that it will introduce end-to-end encryption. Apple has always been known for providing high-tech security, for providing high security on its devices. So now it is moving to next level, that it wants end-to-end encryption for all its processes. This is the basic meaning of end-to-end encryption. Again, you have an example of Bob and Alice here. Bob sends a message using Alice's public key. He uses the message gets encrypted here. As you can see here, the message is converted into a code and it is logged. And here are servers. Servers are able to see only this coded or logged format. And when the message reaches Alice, it is received in the coded format. So now Alice will use her key. This Alice's key, it was available to Bob, it was public key. Now Alice will use her private key to actually decode the message, and she will be able to read on her phone whatever message was given to her by Bob. And these keys, these are stored on your mobile devices, on your mobile phones or your devices. They cannot be accessed by a third party. Alright, so that is your end-to-end encryption. This as a concept needs to be made very clear. let's read out this, let's give it a brief reading. The PDF for this presentation is available on our Telegram channel. It would be uploaded right after this session. So after you go through this session, just scribble side by side, don't worry about taking full notes. So basically what happens is end-to-end encryption is a communication process that encrypts data being shared between two devices. It prevents third parties like cloud service providers, internet service providers and cyber criminals, more importantly cyber criminals, from accessing data while it is being transferred. The process of end-to-end encryption using an algorithm that transforms standard text into an unreadable format. We saw that happens using public key. And this format can only be unscrambled and read by those with the decryption keys. For example, if A is sending a message, only B can read the message, which are only stored on endpoints and not with any third parties. The public keys and the respective private keys are stored on the mobile devices itself. They are provided by the servers, but the servers cannot access them. They are provided by the application providers, the tech providers. Even the servers do not have access to those keys and they cannot decrypt or decode your message. So that is when WhatsApp talks about end-to-end encryption, or when Apple talks about end-to-end encryption, they say that your data and whatever you are communicating and to the second party or to your friends, relatives, that is completely safe and nobody gets an access over it. End-to-end encryption ensures that user data is protected from unwarranted parties. So that is similar line. It has long been used when transferring business documents. Earlier, only for business documents or any messages related to defense of a country or strategic information, that was shared using end-to-end encryption. But now, since privacy is a fundamental right and privacy is being talked about around globally, it has been established as a basic right for human survival. So yes, privacy is something that these tech companies have to provide you with. So that is why it has come up in other services also. It is majorly used to secure communication, that is the key, and some of the popular instant messages apps use it already. For example, Signal, WhatsApp, iMessage, Google Messages, all of these use end-to-end encryption. The problem with end-to-end encryption, and the only problem is that it does not actually encrypt the date and time of the message has been sent. So the message will not be read by a third party, but at least it can be known when the message was sent, from where the when the message was sent, the date, and when a message date and the time, that can be figured out. The exact message, that cannot be read. So that is a problem. So in case if you are asked that end-to-end encryption actually encrypts the date and time of sending the message also, that is not the case. Only the content of the message, whether that is in the form of a text or a call or a video call, that gets encrypted, not the time. So yes, if you have any doubts with regards to the first topic, let me know in the chat section. Then we'll move on to discussing about black soils. The highlight or the headline that I would we would talk about here is black soil and red. Climate change threatens the world's food basket. So black soils have been mapped, black soils have been talked about. Okay. So black soils and red, climate change threatens world's food basket. So as you can see, this is an image of. Also, there are a lot of people, if you want to communicate within yourself or amongst yourself, please find out some, private platform. This is a public lecture for civil services aspirants, not about, and we mostly communicate in English on this channel. So if you are from Hindi, if Hindi serves you better, so probably this is not the platform for you. Yes. So as you can see, this is a picture of black soils. This picture was given to us by Down to Earth magazine, and this is a topic related to your geography and environment point of view. Here, the first thing that you have to study about is soil organic carbon stocks. See, black soils, they have a lot of organic matter inside them. They can actually absorb carbon, they can absorb atmospheric carbon. They do not contain a lot of moisture content. ज़्यादा moisture content वो absorb नहीं कर सकते, but whatever moisture content is present inside black soils, that can be retained for a very long time. So black soils, they are very important for producing some crops, some type of crops, especially in areas where you do not have a lot of rainfall. So since the organic matter is very high, plus they can absorb atmospheric carbon also, plus they can retain moisture for a very long time. Hence black soils are of high importance for agriculture, not just in India but all over the globe. ब्लैक सॉइल्स का जो इम्पोर्टेंस है सिर्फ इंडिया के लिए नहीं, पूरी दुनिया के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा क्रॉप्स आप प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं एंड इसमें जो आपको इनपुट्स देने पड़ते हैं बाकी सॉइल्स के कंपैरेटिवली बहुत कम होते हैं, स्पेशली व्हेन इट कम्स टू फर्टिलाइजर्स एंड व्हेन इट कम्स टू वाटर. So black soils which feed the global population are under threat. Now what the topic that is discussion that we are taking for discussion here is कि black soils are under threat. जो इनमें soil organic carbon, the organic part of soils, that is decreasing and that has decreased by a huge margin. जो soil organic carbon in black soils में होता है वो बहुत ज़्यादा कम होता जा रहा है, especially in countries like India. So since they serve as food baskets, इसमें ऐसी black soils में बहुत ज़्यादा food grains या food products, food grains produce होते हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा grains produce होते हैं. So if the soil organic carbon content of these soils goes down, then what is going to be the future of food production for the entire world? So that is under a question. So recent research was held. Land use change, some of the reasons have been listed here. Land use change, lesser and lesser land is being now devoted to agriculture. Agriculture farms are being divided into smaller shareholdings. Unsustainable management practices and excessive use of agrochemicals are to blame. And this is a study carried out by Food and Agriculture Organization, and they have released first report ever for the mapping of black soils or for finding out the change in quality of black soils. So global status of black soils is the world's first such report released on the occasion of World Soil Day that was held on December 5. So yes, these soils are characterized by a thick dark colored soil horizon which is rich in organic matter. So a lot of organic compounds can be found in this, thick and very dark. That's your black soil. Most of the black soils, they suffered from moderate to severe erosion processes as well as nutrient imbalances, acidification and biodiversity loss. So this can become a threat for the entire world. For these are food baskets for the entire world, so they bring a threat, the decreasing quality. Now talking about their characteristics again, these are extremely fertile thanks to the SOCs present inside them and can produce high agricultural yields thanks to their elevated moisture storage capacity. 5%, 5.6% of global soils, and they contain 8.2% of world's SOC stocks, that is approximately 56 billion tons of carbon. Also, when the quality of your black soil goes down, जब आपकी black soil की quality कम होती है तो उसकी carbon absorb करने की capacity भी बहुत कम हो जाती है. That means you will have more carbon present in the atmosphere because it will not be absorbed by soil, carbon sequestration will not take place, and hence more global warming will occur. This is the map of soils of India. The area marked in grey, this part and this all Deccan Trap area, this is where black soils can be found. Mostly lava से generate हुई हैं. Deccan area में जो Deccan Trap की वजह से जो lava flows हुए थे उसमें उसकी वजह से black soils have been generated in India and now they are under a lot of threat. These are also known as Rager, and these are also known as black cotton soils. Black cotton soils because a lot of cotton farming is prevalent in this area. In fact, up till the year 2000, these people who were living here, they dependent entirely on cotton farming for a very long time for their economic needs. So yes, this is all the details that we talked about black soils here. If you have any doubts with regards to this, obviously this is just a report. Not it is very important from your mains point of view, plus understanding the distribution of black soils, that is very important where it is in India. And reasons of concern according to this report are that they are quickly losing their SOC stocks. It is not even slow, it has not been seen in the previous few years or previous century or whatever. These are quickly losing their organic capacity or organic compounds. They've lost 20 to 50% of their original SOC stock, with the carbon being released into the atmosphere mostly as carbon dioxide, which has increased global warming. There is a cropland distribution. The distribution of black soil areas used as croplands varied in each region. For example, for Europe and Eurasia, they account for 70% of the soil, and North America, Latin America and Caribbean, they just had 10% each, including in Asia. But though for Asia it is just 10%, for India it occupies a lot of land area of our country and a lot of agriculture economy that depends on health of black soils. So yes, this was your second topic. Now we would move to groundwater protection and report regarding groundwater. How is it degrading? What is transnational or transboundary groundwater protection? Before moving on to that, if you have any doubts, just let me know in the chat section. Alright, so no doubts coming up for this. So see, again, for we refer Down to Earth magazine or the website of Down to Earth for all current affairs related to geography and environment. It is very much important for our civil services journey. So they say that for groundwater protection, there was a recent news that has come up that groundwater protection is key, that has been emphasized in Paris UNESCO meet. They say that the highlight of the event was the formation of a coalition on transboundary water cooperation. Let's read about it. First of all, let's look at the status of groundwater all over the world. So, if you look at this, a very dark color, whether it is blue, green or brown, that means the presence of groundwater or the recharge of groundwater is happening at a very fast rate. If you see lighter colors, anywhere, that means recharge is not happening at a very good rate. So just focus on this map, and by focusing on this map, let's come to India. So India has a lot of light colors, if you can see. Dark colors are present only in the coastal areas. Would zoom this more for you. Yes. So yes, there are many areas in our country which are just rain fed. They depend on agriculture. First of all, we are an agriculture driven country for, a lot of our employment percentage and for the economic perspective also, from the economic perspective also. So farming is something, farming and farming based industries, these two are the things which we depend highly upon. We depend highly upon the monsoon, not just for, feeding water to our crops that have already been planted, but also for the recharge of groundwater. See, earlier, if you have heard stories from your elders or from the previous generation, you must have heard that hand pumps just a few meters deep could give a lot of sweet water. Sweet water could be extracted by installing hand pumps with minimal effort. But now you have to go up to at least 50 meters deep or even more than that in some areas, especially in areas of Rajasthan and Western India, to extract groundwater. Why is this happening? First of all, because since our country depends a lot on agriculture, that means water is a resource that is sought after. Water is a very much needed resource. So not always rains can be promising. आपके पास जो monsoon है उसमें problem आ नहीं सकता है. All right, thanks Shravan. So monsoon can always not be predictable, and we have drought years also, we have famines also resulting from droughts, we have unpredictable rains also. So in many parts of the country, people actually rely on groundwater extraction for carrying out their basic agricultural practices on an annual basis, not just when rains are not there, but to have more planned availability of water what they do is they extract groundwater with the help of tube wells, and you know, sometimes in some states electricity is also provided for free to run these tube wells, which actually extract groundwater. So because of that, it has been mapped in the past 5 years at least that the groundwater levels for the country, groundwater levels for the country, they have been going down for decades now, but mapping has been done especially in the past 5 years of groundwater presence or presence of groundwater in the country. Now what is the problem with groundwater? अगर आपके पास groundwater नहीं है, then obviously you can use water from rivers or water from rains. See, you have a water cycle operating, and water cycle में groundwater also creates an impact. Groundwater also has a role to play. How your river gets recharged, for example, if you are using entire water of the river, or at least 70 to 80% of the water of the river has been used by you in the previous season when rains were not happening. So there are high chances, and you've extracted the groundwater also. So next time when rains actually arrive, the first recharge that will happen is at the groundwater level, and then your rivers, they get filled with more water. So the levels of rivers also, the water levels in rivers also, they go down when the groundwater is facing a problem or the levels of groundwater are going down. So in a way, first of all, you cannot extract groundwater with the current technology that you have available. Secondly, you are harming the environment if you are going deep down in the earth's surface to extract groundwater, and when you go deep down, fluoride contents or presence of salts is very high in that groundwater, and that causes cancers and other issues in people. So higher level groundwater, that is the perfect to use. Beyond a certain level, it is very harmful because that is old. Thirdly, because of this water cycle that has been the groundwater also follows, and groundwater also flows. It does not stay at one place, that also flows. So if groundwater extraction in some parts of the country is very high, for example, let's say this is some part of the country where groundwater extraction is very high to the level that this groundwater has actually eroded. So what will happen? Water that is here, groundwater that is here, that will start flowing to this place. So ultimately what was happening, though people here are extracting groundwater at a very high rate, and people here do not have any tube wells or hand pumps at all, still since the groundwater has to be balanced, it will follow its natural flow. So there are a lot of disadvantages which come with groundwater exploitation, and recently United Nations Water Summit on Groundwater 2022 was held, and it underlined that groundwater must be protected at all costs, since it is key to global food production and food security in the long run. The conference, it was organized by UN Water, UNESCO and International Groundwater Resources Assessment Center. See, India also has a separate authority for regulating or for checking how whether the groundwater is being used properly or misused. That is the Central Groundwater Authority that is there in place. We have a groundwater policy also, that explains how to use groundwater in the most perfect way, and it actually puts higher cost for industries using groundwater, and for some industries it has actually given a red card to industries, that some industries cannot extract groundwater at all. The summit was organized to raise awareness on groundwater conservation at the global stage. This also marked the completion of groundwater making the invisible visible. So that is a very something that is invisible has been made visible. The awareness regarding groundwater has been made visible campaign, which was run by UN Water throughout 2022. So it is marking the culmination or the completion of this campaign, which was run by UN Water or United Nations Water, the arm working for water conservation. The UN 2023 Water Conference in New York City offers unprecedented potential for progress on SDG 6, Sustainable Development Goal 6, which is about clean water and sanitation for all, and all water related goals for the 2023 agenda. So SDG 6 is something that you should remember. Also, as Seize the Mains question is coming from this topic, so definitely mention this. Groundwater management needs to apply 5 acceleration instruments to ensure that this succeeds. And what are the 5 acceleration instruments? First of all, it is governance. The governance has to be proper. The government has to take a stand to protect groundwater as an essential resource for food security, for better health and for food management in the long run. Second is availability of data and information. if the statistics and data for the changes in groundwater levels, they are not available, that means people cannot be made aware and this resource cannot be protected. The third is innovation with regards to conservation of groundwater. Fourth one is capacity development, and the fifth and most important one to run any project is finance. So now moving on, the important part about this news was that for the first time ever in the history, they formed a coalition or a grouping for management of transboundary water, transboundary groundwater. See, you must have heard about, you know, a lot of MOUs signed between India and Pakistan and Bangladesh and so many countries with regards to river water sharing. See, river water sharing, water is a very essential resource for any country, for any population. So now it is not just about river water sharing, we are also moving to understanding on groundwater. So in the future you might see groundwater based agreements being signed in many countries, because for the first time this transboundary water cooperation has come up. So transboundary waters accounted for 60% of the fresh water that flowed globally, and only 32 countries have 90% or more of their transboundary basin and aquifer area covered by operational agreements. Rest of the countries, they are not even covered by agreements, and the gap between water supply and demand is increasing because population is increasing, and due to climate change, availability of fresh water is also decreasing. So that will result into more water stressed countries in the future. So the combination of these three facts can represent a huge potential for future conflicts. It has been envisaged time and again that the next world war would be for water. So that can become a reality. At least local level conflicts can be seen, national or international level conflicts can be seen, and it can be a driver for mutually beneficial cooperation. So if you focus on water conservation right now, especially groundwater conservation, because on that depends the recharge of your river resources or water aquifers, then it can be handled properly. Also, they highlighted that South Asia was the largest consumer of groundwater in the world today. Obviously, you know, if a country does not have a lot of development, then the first thing they will resort to, and not just development, if a country is dependent a lot on monsoon, which your South Asian countries are. We do depend on the Southeast monsoon season. So such countries, they use groundwater in lean periods, especially in lean periods. So as of today in the region, we are drawing over 600 billion cubic meters of groundwater every year, both from transboundary aquifers and from water sources that are very ancient. This groundwater, once drawn, cannot be recharged back. That is the problem. Recharge of groundwater happens at a very, very slow rate. South Asia hosts not more than 5% of the global land cover, and still maximum groundwater exploitation is happening in South Asia itself. So yes, about 85% of the water required for irrigation to produce food and 90% of drinking water is drawn from groundwater in South Asia. So that is a very serious situation here if groundwater recharge is not happening, as we saw in the previous map. So yes, the significance and the threats to groundwater, we have discussed it orally. What you can do is, after this discussion, just download the PDF that contains all the content. We have discussed all of it from our Telegram channel, which is Raj Malhotra's IS. If there are any doubts with regards to any topics, just let me know in the chat section, then we'll wind this session up. Alright, so we'll wind this session up. Stay tuned to the channel. Also, go to the website to answer Seize the Mains question for today, for our daily answer writing initiative. I'll see you with another discussion at 9 PM on Seize the Mains today, and on subsequent Wednesdays on this weekly current affairs session. Thank you.